A few erstwhile members of Sam's Army in attendance, taking on Argentina. Bonancieri in goals, Zanetti, Ayala, Milito, and Heinze in the back line. Veron, Mascherano, Cambiaso anchoring the midfield. Riquelme and Messi with Crespo at the point. Last time they won a cup, Basile was in charge. He's back in charge now. Bob Bradley, 10 wins, 1 tie. Keller in goal, Conrad, Wynn, Olsen, and Bornstein along the defense with Demerit in the center. It'll be Feilhaber and Clark anchoring the midfield. Map on one flank, Olsen on the other, Johnson and Twellman in a 4-4-2 for Bradley and the U.S. We've got the opening kickoff in just moments from Maracaibo, the United States and Argentina. Copa America 2007 comes your way next.
Well, a few U.S. flags here, and obviously tensions between Venezuela and the U.S. have been at a high point of late, but this is the Copa America. Sports stepping into the mix, and Argentina right there in the middle. Oh, that's something you do not normally want to face in your first game out, but in some ways could be a benefit. Shrug it off. The fact that Colombia lost 5-0 gives the U.S. a lifeline. They just need to play respectable here. There's a chance they could advance to the next round.
Bradley will have wound them up nicely for this absolute acid test that these boys in the red, white and blue are going to be facing. The likes of Messi and Riquelme are a sort of footballer that you don't see in CONCACAF. And it's not just a two-man team. They are loaded from the back to the front. The magnificent Ayala and Milito at the back, anchoring Mascherano and Veron. Cambiaso, brilliant in his own way. And for the United States, Feilhaber and Clark are going to have their work cut out with Olsen and Map on the either side of them, trying to impose some sort of challenge in the midfield against Argentina and hopefully take their chances on the break. With Eddie Johnson up front, the speed will threaten Argentina.
Carlos Chandia, the Chilean referee, with the whistle in hand, and we are underway. Rodrigo Gonzalez, his fellow Chilean, on the near side. The Peruvians rounding out the officiating crew. Luis Avila on the far flank, and Victor Rivera is the fourth. Back to Keller, and his boot upfield, giving a chance for Argentina to win the ball back. A bump and a foul. Taylor Twellman and Eddie Johnson have their work cut out, but the one thing they do have, for the most part, is a little bit of a height advantage against a relatively short back line for Argentina.
Yeah, short in height perhaps, but when you see the vertical leap of Ayala and his countrymen alongside him, the fabulous Milito, that ain't going to be too much of a concern for the Argentines. They will keep the ball for fun, they'll wait and they'll possess the ball, and they'll be very, very patient in their build-up. It's been one of the criticisms of Argentina that they have been too much of a possessive team. They haven't had the cut and thrust that Bielsa really wants out of them. He wants a much more direct approach, as we see Crespo with his new hairdo.
Throw in on the near side.
For the United States, Phil, for my money, they need to pressurize this Argentine side, not just 35 yards away from Keller's goal line, but they need to do it throughout the entire half of the United States, because you cannot let this team come at you with any sort of poise or any sort of settlement. And with this guy, you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Messi to Riquelme off to the near side. Pushed up the flank, and Heinze is there.
First 20 minutes, absolutely vital for the United States. Lock them out, pressurize, just as Benny Olsen's doing there, setting a great example.
Veron returning to the lineup here for Argentina. Pass off to Milito, forward for Riquelme.
4 years out of the team, Veron. It's amazing that he got called back, but he's been in tremendous form for Estudiantes.
Meanwhile, for the U.S., not quite as dramatic, but Eddie Gavin getting a call back on the bench here today.
Yeah, there's the other side of the moon.
And he admits he was one of the most shocked when he got the phone call. But give me an idea from Bob Bradley as Bonancieri puts it back into play. What is he trying to do with this lineup? A lot of U.S. fans were a little upset.
I think there's a lot of people upset and disappointed that we didn't come with a much more settled, strong team with a few of the big European stars. Landon Donovan, for me, is the biggest exclusion for this team. As long as you have Landon in the lineup, you are going to have that blistering, world-class pace to threaten even the strongest Fort Knox defense like Argentina has. But he's back in California.
Ball stolen by
DeMarcus Beasley's another big exclusion.
Johnson drops it back. Olsen playing a little bit more in the center. And it looks like they might allow things to open up for Feilhaber, the Brazilian-born U.S. star. He and Bornstein have a little bit of history together. This is not the first time they have played. Another young prospect developed by Bradley, both part of the 05 Maccabea game squad. Not quite the same, but Bornstein back when he was an attacker then coming out of UCLA, a couple of goals. So you asked earlier off camera where the speed was, and in all honesty at this point it's the outside backs for the U.S. They might be quite busy tracking back today.
You see
win
Zanetti,
on one side, Bourne on the other.
Zanetti always given the office to push up.
Messi.
Beyond Messi. Beautiful football.
Messi to Veron, back for Messi. Standing him up and shutting him down was Benny Olsen. Off to win on the near side.
And once the ball does get transferred, especially with these four in the midfield, the United States have got to be brave, chance their arm. They cannot sit back and bunker in. That's not what Bob Bradley's come here for. So on that level, Bradley's came here playing his 4-4-2, which is a change from the regular 4-5-1 that was successful in the Gold Cup much of the time. So it's a bit of a change up for Bob.
Ball dropped back and a chance now for Ayala.
Big pressure, as we said, from Feilhaber and Clark. Screening that back four, they are going to be crucial for anything positive that the United States get going.
Hansa into the middle. It's Riquelme. What a glorious return to Boca Juniors he had.
Fabulous.
Back from Crespo.
Messi
into the area. Pass win. Chip to the middle. Cleared away at the last moment. And sliding through was Conrad.
Tremendous play by Argentina. Textbook stuff. Play and go, on the move, poetry in motion. Messi's in, that's great, ball across, but Jimmy Conrad let him like the old nursery rhyme book, dishes it off beautifully.
First corner of the game, Casey Keller.
A lot of people thinking that Conrad is really one of the best central defenders the United States have. By the time 2010 comes along, he'll be a couple of year old, 2 or 3 year older, and that's not on Jimmy's side. But in that central defensive position, Phil, I think, you know, the experience that Conrad brings is such a good settling influence.
Off to the far side, well handled by the U.S. Mapp getting a little help from Feilhaber, and he promptly gets introduced to the Maracaibo turf by Ayala.
Onyewu, of course, was looking decidedly shaky in the Gold Cup, in my opinion. Jimmy Conrad, much more settled, unspectacular player, doesn't have the great physique, but wonderful focused player, true professional and a good communicator alongside Demerit.
And they were pointing out, well, you're taking on Messi and Crespo and Riquelme. Well, people kind of forget he was taking on guys like Henry and Didier Drogba in the Premiership week in, week out for Watford.
Good little situation there by the United States. Benny Olsen taking off quickly. He gets it and he goes for the through ball. Benny is certainly offside, but that's a great example of that bravery that we were talking about that the US has got to have on the break.
Not quite the same, but we also saw Brazil unlock like that last night when Castillo pushed forward and beat the defense, and that's one reason I think the U.S. has to have some hope. Well, you toss Landon Donovan on this roster, maybe toss in Beasley as well, and people aren't saying this is a C squad. So this team is going to be in the picture for the World Cup 2010. Riquelme off to the near side. Hansa drops it back. Look how deep Crespo is coming. Launched forward up the middle. Chance for Johnson into the box. Johnson pushed down from behind. Penalty! 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 The U.S. on the counter. Eddie Johnson draws the chance from the spot.
And Argentina on the ropes. It's a tremendous run in by Eddie. It's a beautiful ball with the outside of, I think it's Feilhaber's foot. It's a lovely lead ball that catches Ayala and Milito dreaming. They try to get back. They can't. It's a reach in, and Bob Bradley gets an absolute dream start We were saying it's Eddie Johnson that's got the pace to worry to Argentina, and that has certainly been advertised there. An absolutely great run. Uncontainable there, Eddie Johnson. Out like a jackrabbit, and Argentina were left in his wake. Huge penalty kick this for Eddie now. Is he cool? Is he going to be calm? Is he going to be deadly?
Eddie Johnson did the hard work, cut to the inside. He was not going down. Looked like he was trying to cut through the defense when he was pushed to the turf. Chandia, the referee, trying to mark things out. The Chilean making sure Verón is outside the area.
When we go back to that ball to Eddie Johnson, it's an absolutely beautiful international class pass that leads that young man.
Johnson with the whistle. 12 yards away. Upsets have been the story in this tournament. The United States has the lead. Goal for Eddie Johnson. Penalty kick converted. The U.S. has grabbed the momentum here in the early going in the 9th minute.
And there's not too many of the United States fans over here, but I tell you what, they've got the hometown support. You can hear this stadium going crazy. You might not have thought it in Venezuela, given the political history, but I tell you what, Venezuelans are absolutely urging on the boys in red, white and blue here. A fabulous start for Eddie, and it's deserved. The goal was earned. The penalty was earned, and there's no question it was a pen. Argentina, the apple cart, has just been turned over.
First foul of the game second of the game against Argentina. Leads up to the penalty kick, and the first shot on goal comes from 12 yards out, and Eddie Johnson looked pretty calm and cool under that circumstance.
For sure he did. Stepped up, sent Abindanzieri the wrong way. Perfect penalty, but we said it's vital. If they're going to have a hope to settle down, the first goal would be enormous. Well, they've got it, Phil. Let's see if the United States keep playing as bravely as they have.
Riquelme pulled down.
With this goal ahead, because this has been a fault of the United States. When they've taken a lead, they've had the propensity to drop back. How is this young team going to be able to go ahead and play their football with the lead on the mighty Argentina?
Free kick. This is a dangerous chance. 11th minute, a chance to equalize. Casey Keller very good on quick reaction plays, but when a wall is in front of you, sometimes it's hard to spot it. 4 men in the wall. A couple of Argentines looking to set the stage, and Verón very good, but even he is backing down. Man of the hour, Juan Román Riquelme, and this one about 30 yards away. Chandia moves the wall back just a touch.
Even for Riquelme, by his genius standards, this is a long way out to hit with the type of pace and precision. He'd like it 5 more yards in. Look, this to be a dish serve.
Chips it in, back post, deflected, touched loose, and buried. Loose inside the 6, and it's Crespo who ties the score at 1. Beautiful deception by Argentina.
A wonderful rehearsed free kick. A lot of people expecting the howitzer from Riquelme. I didn't. I absolutely knew it would be served in. And it's not badly defended initially by the United States. They attack the ball. I'm not sure if the defender gets an almighty clean touch on this. You'll see. Yep. Just doesn't get the touch. Ricky Clark comes for it and doesn't make contact. It just needed a little touch. Hainsey it is that attacks it as well, but it's Clark that maybe should have got a little touch on it, I feel.
So Hernan Crespo equalizes, and whatever momentum the U.S. had, now back to level. 12th minute, goal for Crespo.
Well, it's got to be said, Phil, handing out the accolades to the United States. Let's not sugarcoat this. It was poor defending in the central position by Demerit and Conrad. You've got to attack that ball with a lot more authority, and really they were just running around the ball, and it was the Argentines that came onto it.
Mapp doing a nice bit of digging to try and get around Cambiaso, and now draws the foul. Justin Mapp, I think he's the guy that can turn this game around. He's got to play harder. He's got the touch, he's got the vision, but he's got to show some bite here today. Free kick just in the Argentine half. Veron needing to tuck the shin pads in. Veron's return, one of the big stories here. Brujita for his 59th match wearing the Albiceleste. Ball launched up, trying to catch a Bonancieri off his line, but
well, you're talking about Justin Mapp, Phil. He's a player, as you said. He's going to be all over on that right-hand side, but he needs the ball played to him, Justin Mapp, and he's going to have to come and take his man on here tonight. That's the type of player he is. See, Keller comes for it. We were saying in the pre-game, Phil, for me, Casey Keller has been a little bit shaky in the Gold Cup. He does his best to break his back to get to the ball, but the old Casey Keller, I believe, would have been full out with both fists launching into that ball.
Another slam as Ayala introduces Eddie Johnson to the turf. Message sent.
He's a handful, all right, Eddie. Ayala recognizes this quickly. Throws down the human roadblock in front of Johnson.
Ayala on his way across town from Valencia to Villarreal. Banged up his knee in training this week. There was some question whether he'd be out there, but hard to keep him off the pitch in a game like this. 14th minute.
Such an impressive start, though, by the United States in the opening going.
Demerit forward. Twellman, was it a handball? Play on. Up for Cambiaso with his newly shorn locks.
Taylor Twellman getting the feel of big Diego Milito in the back and turning the big Argentine nicely there, Taylor.
Olsen with the throw in, stolen away. Back to the far side. Mapp touches it through, cleared by Gabby Milito. Out to the midfield, Riquelme spins around and dishes towards his right.
Brilliant.
Zanetti will be back in the starting lineup as well. Celebrating an inter-championship as well as his return to the national team.
Well, if Argentina had their eyes woken last night looking at that Mexico-Brazil team, that first goal by Johnson's really woken them up.
Ball off to the near side. Heinze into the middle. Cambiaso finds Riquelme. Juan Roman, where will he go next year? Atletico, the latest team to step towards the floor. Here's Messi. Messi through the middle. Veron touches it back. Here's a chance for Feilhaber and Bornstein, but a little slow off the trigger. Taken right back by Argentina.
Very lively ball this. You see the ball is bouncing around like a ball bearing on a plate of marble. You can tell it's not going to be a tricky ball. It's going to be a tricky ball to control. It looks a very level field, but the ball is very lively.
Hard hit from the back line, but Owen sends it right back to the middle. Diving clearance by Demerit.
Nice
finds Johnson. Johnson with three defenders around him. Slows things down, spots Olsen. Olsen and Clark have been exchanging spots at just a touch. In fact, a lot of movement in this U.S. midfield. Now we see Feilhaber on the left. We've seen Mapp left and right.
That's great. That's tremendous by the United States and Bob Bradley, giving the young boys that freedom to exchange positions, fill in for each other defensively once they do exchange.
And keep Argentina guessing. Ball launched in, deflected off Zanetti, out for the throw-in.
They seem to be keeping their shape, the United States, in a nice way, and yet they're swapping positional play, which is really, that's great to see in a young team.
Bornstein with a quick throw, and Mapp beats the defense, crossed, and everyone pinching in. Eddie Johnson just looking over. Someone should have stayed back post.
I'm not so sure, Phil. I thought it was a poor ball in by Mappy. It's a beautiful run down this left side by Justin. There you see.
No doubt he'd be here tonight. Of course, Chavez,
But Mapp, for me, on that level there, I mean, that's a ball that's bouncing in front of Justin, and he could have picked out a player, but he just sent it in with a little bit too much hold.
Twellman touches back. Cambiaso read it. Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez, not in town for this one. In fact, not even in the country. Over in Russia and Belarus and off to Iran, which will probably get the attention of other parts of the U.S. sector. Off to the near side. Heinze again back to full health and back as one of the top left defenders on the planet.
Great to see Benny arguing over a throw-in. That's the type of great warrior spirit that Olsen and that experience, that savvy play that Benny will bring. It'll be infectious.
Ball thrown in, touched back.
But look at how the United States are pushing on to the Albiceleste shirts, Phil.
Clark.
All over, deep into this half. into their own half. That's exactly what was stated in at the pre-game, what was needed, and they are doing it beautifully.
Riquelme to the near side. Heinze controls. Olsen coming over. All the doors are shut, and he's forced to look backwards. Finds Ayala. Spinning is Messi. Johnson stuck a boot in. Play on, says the referee. Bornstein looking for an opening, finds Feilhaber. Feilhaber against Baron. Knocked to the turf again. Foul number 5 against Argentina. Bill Shane, Ray Hudson with you here. Copa America action continuing on Goal TV. The U.S. and Argentina opening things up on what has been a tournament of upsets. And while Paraguay-Colombia might not have really been an upset, the manner and final result definitely was surprising. Paraguay with a hat trick by Santa Cruz, and Cabañas almost had one of his own.
Well, for the United States fans out there, you could not be more happy or pleased to see these boys in the blue shirts play this way. They're trying to build it out of the back. They're trying to find Eddie, and they want the players pushing onto him. The first 20 minutes of this game, it's exactly how Bradley drew it up. It's a great response by Argentina, but the United States came here looking for experience and
Messi swept aside by Conrad.
Evaluate their squad, and they are doing that in a tremendous atmosphere here, and they are passing the test so far.
Nice tackle by Jimmy Conrad. 19th minute, still 1-1. In case you decided to order a pizza, you might have missed the first two, but they came bang, bang. And here comes another one, chested back to Keller. 9th minute, Johnson tripped up and converts the penalty as Gabi Milito was caught on the wrong side. Meanwhile, caught ball watching the U.S. defense on a free kick 30 yards out, and Riquelme plays it in for Heinze, who fights Keller for it, and Hernan Crespo, the goal poacher extraordinaire.
You're saying Johnson victimized Gabi Milito. Phil, I tell you, when you look at that replay again, Milito and Ayala, they had the depth on Eddie as well, but just that pace and the timing of the run, but the beautiful ball that was played in Eddie Johnson, I'm telling you, it was an absolute class pass.
Alfio Basile looking on. Many are viewing him as the savior. They have not really recovered from 1994. 93 was the Copa America crown. Defending their title, won in 91. They thought 95 would be the same, but Uruguay beat them to the trigger. And of course, everyone knows how 1994's World Cup ended, as Diego Maradona was suspended and Argentina just collapsed. They have not won a major international trophy since 1993. Ball touched forward for Riquelme. Drops it back. Here's Mascherano. Did not like West Ham, but finding life a lot more comfortable at Liverpool.
Well, this Argentine side, Phil, they have not been a prolific goal-scoring team since the World Cup. And since the World Cup, they've played 6 games, and they haven't looked altogether super impressive.
Zanetti going in against Matt. Impressive looking at Zanetti, the old man flying down the line, but perhaps even more impressive, Justin Matt. Solid defense, but he'll surrender the corner. Last set play resulted in a goal for Argentina. Casey Keller facing his second corner. Both posts guarded. Whistle blows from Chandia. Linesman on the far side, the Peruvian Avila, apparently catching the referee's attention. Conrad Demerit, very solid, but a few weapons wearing the blue and white stripes. In-swinger far side. Blasted to the back post, headed up. And again, somehow Ayala finds his way there, as did Gabi Milito. Deflected out. They'll come to the near side and try it again.
Actually, Gabi Milito getting in the way of Ayala there. Both the big men going up for this ball, and you can see the collision. Demerit challenging bravely, doing enough to put the mighty Ayala and Milito off of the ball. That's good defending by the Watford boy.
Riquelme to the middle, punched away strong by Keller.
That's better
back to his
there.
feet.
It's exactly what was needed in that first goal, but this time Casey gets there quick.
But on to Riquelme, too much space. Map a little slow to come over, lifted back post. And Casey Keller shepherds it out of bounds with Cambiaso charging in.
Let me tell you, that's a shot by Roman. We've seen it so many times with Villarreal, and Boca Juniors lately. He goes for the top corner and he just doesn't get his gyroscope quite right there, Roman. Typical.
A lot of the attention focused on 95 when the U.S. with Keller in goal beat Argentina 3-0. Well, a little bit more recently, back in 2005, they knocked off Lionel Messi and Argentina in the World Youth Championship. Several of those players on the pitch here today. Sasha Klestan on the bench, another one. Through ball in the give and go. Heinze putting on his running shoes, goes in against Olsen, who draws the foul. What more can you expect from Benny Olsen but solid effort?
Heinze wins it clean and nicely and then turns on Benny and goes for the nutmegs. He just misses Benny's passages, and Benny does well to stand him up. And see, really, Phil, it's incredible transition. Tactically very flexible, the United States. They're playing with 5 at the back a lot of the time in this game. But when they pressurize the midfield of Argentina, they are taking off bravely in support of Eddie.
Gavi Milito clears it away with the left boot. Johnson in charge. That pressure gives Wynn the chance to win it. Wynn was also on that 05 under-20 squad. Here's Olsen, a little older than 20, finding Eddie Johnson. Johnson with 2 men on him, looking for help. Johnson trying to get past Mascherano, and that's not easy to do. Back for Verón, over to Cambiaso. Cambiaso down the left side. Wynn getting a little help. Good cover by the U.S. They'll find Ricardo Clark. He turned the tail in the Gold Cup final against Mexico, but a little harder here today.
Damn, too casual a giveaway there by Justin Mapp earlier.
Nice work, Bornstein, to steal it off Messi's boot.
It's got to be a lot more responsible on the ball, Justin. He's seen plenty of it, Phil, but his passes have just not been finding the targets.
Here's Mapp. Argentina has not really seen Justin Mapp, and neither has Bornstein.
See, he's the type of player, Justin, when his confidence gets rattled, he's had 2 or 3 great opportunities to be very hurtful against Argentina, and that's the result. He's just one of those very precious type of dribblers, highly skilled, but in your game's not on and you're not at full tilt, it can be your luxury. Justin needs to pick his game up here.
You had him his first year in D.C., right?
Yep. And
then moved on to Chicago for bigger and better, but still not the best.
No, a quality player, lovely boy from Mississippi, Justin.
Verón pushing it into space. Bornstein on his horse. Messi against him. Pushed down, and a foul against little Lionel.
Absolutely. Messi
impressed by Bornstein here in the early going.
Tries to pull Bornstein back. Very little contact. He might have got away with that in Barcelona.
Rookie of the year last year for Chivas USA. Former UCLA Bruin. A lot of Bruins on this team. Keller launching it long. Ayala again over Twellman. Johnson smothered in the double team. They'll play it back. Milito over to Abonancieri. Pato says he's thinking about retiring in 09.
Like
in fact, he said if he was still at Boca and not at Getafe, he probably would have retired by now.
I'd like to see a little bit more movement off Taylor Twellman as well. A little bit more showing for the ball, a little bit more urgency, even if he's dropping back a little bit, because it's Eddie that's leading that line high for the United States, swapping it sometimes with Taylor.
Put on over to Messi, dropping it back.
But you'd like to see some of these chances where the United States gets the ball in midfield to try to find Taylor Twellman. He's been pretty much starved of the ball the first 25 minutes, Phil.
27th minute, taking a look here. A lot of controversy on offside calls in this tournament. 3 goals have been waved off. That one a little borderline, but it looked as though Luis Avila might have had it right. Keller again. Mentioned he was on the roster back in '95 in Uruguay. Well, a couple of the assistant coaches were as well back in their playing days. His new goalkeeper coach, Jürgen Sommer, and Mike Sorber, the number 2 assistant to Bob Bradley. Peter Novak, again the number 1, probably had the catbird seat and the walkie-talkie all warmed up. Bob Bradley, 1-1. If this goes to the dressing room tied at 1, he would take it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just a scoreline, it's the manner in which the United States have played. Right from the back, through the midfield, pushing on Argentina. This has been as an impressive performance the United States have put up throughout the Gold Cup. let alone anything else. And it's these young pups that are doing it for the coach and following his orders to the letter. I am extremely impressed by the way this young squad are molding their game together.
Cambiaso starting things out over to Verón. Ball flipped forward, trying to charge down the line. Zanetti, and Keller will get it inside his own area. 1-1 the score, 28th minute. Goals from Johnson equalized by Crespo. Ball boomed upfield by the Washington native. Over Twellman. Knotted wide by Milito. Zanetti against Mapp. The veteran 33-year-old draws the foul.
Those balls into Taylor Twellman, they're not the types that he wants. That's not what Bob Bradley will be wanting. He'll be telling the boys at half-time, if we're going to play with Taylor, you've got to give him his oats and play it into his feet better.
Ball off to the near side. Crespo very mobile here in the early going. Cambiaso drops it back. 1-1 the score, nearing the half-hour mark.
This portion of the game is brought to you by OleOle.com, where fans kick off.
Back for Milito as the U.S. dodges a bullet. Over to Ayala. Raton over to the far side, Zanetti. Messi again. They've done a good job of shutting him down, but you got to do it for 90 minutes.
I've done the same thing with Riquelme and Cambiaso, though, Phil.
Conrad throws his body in front. It's either a foul or a goal kick, but Messi is frustrated.
They aren't just doing it marking man-to-man either. And that's really one of the most impressive parts about this team in the United States colours. They're doing it as an overall team defence. And one is backing up the other. And the movement off of it in the defensive shape has been absolutely tremendous.
Conrad might want to watch out because that ball looked like it might not have gone all the way across and gives, I'm sure, Basile a little bit of hope. Messi's not giving up on anything.
Well, this isn't bunkering football by the United States, man. I'm telling you, this is really very good stuff.
But on to the middle. Little bit of miscommunication by Argentina. Johnson with some cover from Feilhaber.
Well played.
Johnson has Clark. Instead, he'll use Olsen. Benny to the near side. Many people forget Benny was the bright young phenom before he got hurt at Nottingham Forest, and now has changed his game entirely and more of a grit player than a finesse one, but very valuable to Bradley here today.
No question, Benny's still got it in him to hit the hurtful ball, to hit the real telling pass. It's in Benny Olsen's game to thread the ball through and have a pop-it goal as well.
Had a hat trick. Eddie Johnson's not the only one wearing a cap for the U.S. players. Johnson drops Olsen to the middle. Twellman made the center run, but double-teamed, and no problem for Pato Vancieri. Rolls it out to Verón.
Wasn't such a bad ball in by Olsen either.
Stolen away again. Riquelme looks flustered. Twellman cutting away from the pressure. Johnson back. Twellman tripped. Foul and a free kick for the U.S. That's 25 yards out.
Taylor Twellman, that's the sort of football that he needs to be playing a lot more, and he can only do it when he gets the service. This time Taylor gets the ball where he wants it, where he needs it, and where he's most comfortable. At his feet, running at a defence and playing that 1-2. Uncontainable, Argentina having to resort to the foul.
He might not be the best free kick taker on the U.S., but you know when Landon Donovan is out there, who's going to take it. Now, you're not so sure. Mapp very good. Olsen can take him on a service. Feilhaber has shown what he can do. But someone perhaps a chance to grab a little bit more. 32nd minute. Looks like Feilhaber wants it, and Mapp is there with his left boot. Chandia making sure the wall is 10 yards back. Mapp and Feilhaber, the two look to set the start.
I fancy Justin Mapp here. He's the boy with the real skill and curve in his free kick.
And a Bonacieri cheating right. That sets up Mapp, but he might just be trying to decoy him. It's Feilhaber, blasts it low. I don't know if he was hoping for a run, but a wasted opportunity.
Poor free kick this. It's neither nothing or something in the end. If this is an intention, well-rehearsed free kick, then the boys that are running in are just all at sea and dreaming. Honestly think it's just a spanked goal, speculative, maybe hoping for a deflection.
Well, we saw what happened with Argentina as they obviously had been working things out on the practice pitch.
Ball's not attacked at the back post though either way, Phil. United States on those set plays have got to attack them like their life depends on it.
Cambiaso pushing it forward. Flag comes up. Vespo caught. Play on, says the referee, though, as Keller got there first. Thumbs up from Avila on the far side.
32 minutes in, and you look at the Argentine players, the superstars of the world that have been subdued and kept entirely in the shadows by this United States team. Messi, Crespo, Riquelme, Cambiaso, Veron, Mascherano. They've all been in the shadows, Phil. There's not one player that's taken this game and had a stamp on it at all in the Alba Celeste shirts.
Cambiaso. Heinze pushing forward. Gets the ball back, but a little behind. Riquelme not quite sharp yet. Veron lifts it to the corner. Messi goes up against Bornstein. Holds him off. Chip to the middle, and there it's cleared away. Good cover by Jay DeMerit again. Bornstein's going to get on some highlight films in a few coaches' offices the way he's holding on to Messi. Not many people in La Liga can do it.
They're playing real great textbook football again out of the back. They're forcing all of Argentina's attack more often than not to come inside, and when they come inside, when they're forced inside Argentina, they're running into the likes of Feilhaber, Clark and Benny Olsen.
Here's Veron. Rujita off to Messi again, and look how tight the defense is. He can't turn around without bouncing into a blue shirt.
He cannot breathe.
Ball back for Ayala, over to Gabi Milito. Diego, his brother, on the bench. Might see him at this rate. Ball forward, Riquelme cuts it, but the knife dulled again. Twellman giving chase. Milito will let it run. Now he'll keep it in and sweeps it over for Ayala. European clubs not required to release the players with the same rules as had been in place for the Gold Cup, and that's one of the reasons it's more of an experimental side. Well, the experiment seems to be working. Ball chipped in. It's been a heavy pitch here in Venezuela. Looked like that one might hold, but at 33, Zanetti just couldn't catch up.
Great ball either way by Riquelme, just as you said, too heavy. Riquelme plays the ball over the top with backspin on it, but as you said, just carried away. One happy camper there. Absolutely tremendous, Bob Bradley, the way he has sent his boys out and the way they have performed for the boss. This isn't absolutely fair and square. You may say Argentina have had a little bit more possession, but I tell you what, Phil, it has not been dominance in any shape, of any way, form by the blue and white shirts. It's been these boys in the darker blue strips that have won my admiration big time.
Marvel Wynn gets the throw in, going up against Hernan Crespo.
And there's a player, Marvel Wynn. When he's had the ball and when the ball's been on the inside, Marvel Wynn has been joining in and he's been devil take the highmost down that right-hand side.
Twellman knocked to the turf by Heinze, and Milito drops it back for a Bonancieri. 34 years of age, 6'1".
Bornstein doing a good job on that left-hand side, staying a little bit more at home, which is
Olsen
brilliant
again,
because of the way Messi is out on that side.
Mentioned the Bonancieri. He has been one of the most snake-bit keepers in Argentine history. A lot of Argentines, a lot of Boca fans kind of cover their eyes sometimes. He can make a spectacular play and then a big blunder. Was having the tournament of his career at the World Cup, only to get knocked out and see his replacement lose on penalty kicks. And that was the end of Argentina's hopes.
Yeah, right. Abondanzieri was absolutely superlative in the World Cup.
Cambiaso near side. Riquelme can't find an opening. Back for Heinze. Twellman even playing some defense. Conrad touches it forward. Johnson chests. Controls well. Push into space against Milito. Has some room but needs some help.
Johnson shining in this game. Holding the ball up well. Turning bravely.
Feilhaber. He's got a shot, but now quickly shut down. Through for Twellman. He expected the ball to go outside. He's always got to be ready for it, and that's what Feilhaber's screaming now.
Well, either way, it was a bit too heavy a ball. It's a good intention here, but look, there's no way, even if Taylor Twellman's streaking onto it. The right idea, though.
Mike Sorba used to make passes like that back in his playing days.
One of the real nice parts about that failed opportunity for the United States was that they went for the killer ball. They didn't go for the easy slap shot at goal.
And as you pointed out, Eddie Johnson seems to be a player reborn here. Through ball deflected off of Ricardo Clark, back to Keller. 38th minute. We are 7 minutes regulation time away from the half. The U.S. scored first. Argentina bounced back, and I'm sure many were expecting, okay, there go the floodgates. It has not been the case.
Not at all. They've retained all the confidence, belief, faith. They've held their shape wonderfully well, and they'll be heading into the locker room for a big, big kiss on the backside by Bob Bradley.
39th minute, ball out to Zanetti. Zanetti's been forced to stay back a little bit. I think Messi might need some help. Feilhaber almost takes it off Veron's boot. Mascherano. Controlled. Riquelme again coming to the defensive half. Ayala, Veron. Looking long. Crespo would have been off, and again, wasted effort. Look how high up the defensive line is now for the U.S., and Argentina can't find an answer.
I'm telling you.
They're pushing Argentina deeper and deeper into their own end. Here's Keller again. Seems almost like disbelief here in Maracaibo.
Well,
U.S. fans.
Argentina have really been sleepwalking through, but again, you cannot say that they've had all of their big guns quieted by all of this great resolve in the United States as a team all over the park, and they've just not been able to get into that rhythm that is Argentina's trademark. And I said in the early going, remember, Phil, that this side is great at keeping possession and pretty football, but they have not been very thrustful or penetrating lately.
Here's Messi, drops it back. Veron. Zanetti makes the run down the line. He'll switch it to Cambiaso. Olsen covers, headed back, touched in for Cambiaso. Here comes Riquelme. Riquelme on that left foot. Wynn forces him back. The door was open, but quickly shuts. And now to Crespo with the cannon on the volley, wide of the target.
Again, you see the United States back four, sometimes a back five, absorbing it, but that midfield in front of the men are absolutely, you see there, the back line is all well drawn up, it's all well marked, but the boys in the darker blue shirts, Feilhaber, Clark and Olsen in particular, those three are playing wonderfully in front of the back four.
And let's talk about the back four and the midfield defense. That's only the third shot in 40 minutes for Argentina.
And they've all been impotent. They've not even had basically a clear look at Casey Keller's goal.
Bornstein again steals the ball away. They've tried to push Crespo out to the wing to change things up. Now it's Johnson tripped up again by Milito, but no foul this time, says Chandia. Did get the call when it counted inside the box in the 9th minute, and that's put the U.S. on the board and changed the complexion of this game. Heinze for Mascherano again. Came up through River. Joins Carlos Tevez at Corinthians before joining him in West Ham. Things worked out a little bit better for Tevez and the Hammers.
Well, it may not be the most enlightening game for Justin Mapp with the ball at his feet, and he's dropped a couple of passes, but I tell you what, Justin is working his socks off out there in that left midfield position, dropping back and sticking with Veron and Zanetti when they move out wide. So it's a real unsung hero's job that Mappy is being taught to perform, and he is doing it wonderfully.
Cambiaso forward to Riquelme, who seemed to slow down and gave Clark the opening. Now a bump in front of Basile, and it's off of Olsen for the throw-in. Argentina has not lost a game since last October in Spain. The U.S., well, it might be a possibility. Tied at 1, 3.5 minutes left to go. They have not been impressive in those other friendlies, though. Barely beat Algeria, tied Switzerland and Chile.
Yeah.
And right now, tied against what many will call the U.S. C squad. Remember back in Argentina, they were saying, watch out, beware. Off to the near side. Heinze gets around Marvel Wynn, whose recovery was amazing. Cambiaso again over to Veron. He's open. Veron from 25. Off the woodwork. I think Keller might have got a finger to it.
I'm not so sure. Maybe he did. Either way, it's an absolute flamethrower by Veron. He absolutely gets this beautifully, and it's a tremendous save by Casey Keller. You're right, Phil.
Casey Keller was the man.
I tell you what, it was so hot off Veron's foot, he could hardly tell in live action. But Casey Keller knew and followed it beautifully. He doesn't get a fingertip to it, that's in the back of his net.
Fourth corner, deflected near post. Again, Keller goes down with some help, and it's cleared away near side. Crespo denied.
Another good performance by Keller now. Good header by Crespo, but the keeper right where he should be.
Get it out of here, he screams. Argentina wants to try and get the lead before the half. 2 minutes remain for the U.S. They cannot be complacent. Stolen away by Conrad again. Mapp lofts it long. Here's Johnson. Johnson in. Slows down. He's got to turn on the burners there. It's Mascherano. It's not Ben Johnson he's going against. Eddie Johnson needs to be able to beat that last defender on pace. Forward for Riquelme. Back for Cambiaso. Near side. Messi on the near. As he switches from the right to the left. Olsen with a nice bit of touch to win the throw-in, and more time off the clock, down to 90 seconds in regulation. It is not over yet. Argentina could still put 4 on the board in the second half. The U.S., however, has got to feel proud of this performance in the first half. Heinze to the middle. Veron back for Milito. Over to Ayala. 1 minute left in first half play. Bob Bradley has not lost in his coaching career. His only tie to Guatemala. This is Argentina.
And it's a fully stocked Argentina, Phil. This isn't anything like a diluted side that they are facing.
Feilhaber, nice defense. Veron comes over against Mapp.
This is the scary good Argentina lineup, and they are being absolutely suffocated by the United States.
And again, Mapp on the defense. Coming over Bornstein. Ball flipped down by Zanetti, off the deflection, out for the throw and about box high.
So many times when the Argentine danger men do get the luxury of a yard or so to run at a United States defender, there's a player right there waiting behind, beautifully positioned for the United States.
Messi denied, gets it back. Mapp
too tight.
Again, with the ball bounced away. 4 or 5 players.
Shirts around the ball, man. Tremendous.
1 minute to be added. You hear a few whistles. Casey Keller.
And again, we said Casey Keller needed to have an inspirational game. Well, you know, he may have got done a little bit better with the goal, and that's being very critical of Casey. He came as quick as he could, and he put both fists on the ball. He just didn't get there a split second earlier, but man, he's pulled out saves to keep his team in the game.
3 saves. Here's Feilhaber. Long range shot. Forces a dive by Bonacieri, who handles it calm and clean. We've already known what Feilhaber brings to the equation, and here he goes again. Ball controlled by Argentina in the midfield. The final seconds tick away. Disbelief in Maracaibo. The U.S. reason to smile on their way to the dressing room. Argentina and the United States tied at 1. The final first leg group play in the 2007 Copa America. Back with the highlights after this.
Well, this for me has been the singular most impressive performance under Bob Bradley by a long way. When you look at the competition, you look at the surroundings he's wound this team up for, the opponents, the magnificent footballers that they have had. Bradley's men have been just not allowing to get into this game. The Mexican game in the Gold Cup final was very good, and it was the best that the United States have played. This is an entirely different team, and it needs to be judged on the merits of that. But I tell you what, for me, this side here, if they can get out of this place with this result, it'll be the best result the United States have had for a very, very, very long time.
Do not appear to be any changes for either side. Argentina in the Albiceleste, the sky blue and white, going from the left to the right, but now in retreat. And nice work again from Ricardo Clark. Launches it forward. Johnson gets a flick to it. Twellman can't close down. Abonancieri in goal. Ayala and Milito in front of him. Zanetti on the right. Heinz on the left. Mascherano, Veron, Cambiaso, the anchors in the midfield. Messi and Riquelme on the attack with Crespo at the point. He does have a goal, but he hasn't done much. Ball deflected out for an Argentine throw. A couple of days ago, not that I'm a soothsayer or anything, but when they said that Crespo was going to get the start as opposed to Tevez, I said that opens the door for the U.S. because we might see Tevez in the second half, and you'll see this is a bulldog. Crespo goes out to the flank. Tevez is going to run right up their backside.
Exactly. Crespo is a player that's much easier to be contained with, Phil. Contain them much easier than the type of mercurial type of player that Carlos Tevez is, and I'm sure we'll see him before too long.
Zanetti can't get it. Applauds the effort as they try and stretch out this U.S. defense that's been amazing. Keller has been tested 4 times, and 3 times came up gems. Demerit, Conrad in the center, Wynn on the right, Bornstein on the left. It's Clark and Feilhaber in the center of the park. Olsen on the right, Map on the left. There's a lot of movement in the U.S. midfield. It's confusing Argentina a touch.
Good
and then
touch
Johnson
by
and Twellman up front.
Great touch by Eddie Johnson there. Having a cracking game, Eddie.
And Marvell Wynn, his first cap.
And is playing as good as anybody in the United States. Absolutely right, Phil. That's a great spot. Marvell Wynn having an absolute sparkling game.
He's been beaten a couple of times, but the opponents get maybe a step.
Look at this
and then he's
service.
back at him.
Look at the quality of this football by the United States. A great lead ball into Taylor Twellman. Lovely dish off to Eddie.
Heinz and Milito doing a good job there, though. Riquelme has been kept in check off to Zanetti. Coming over Map. Dropping it back.
Part of the success the United States have had has been reducing Argentina to basically mere humans. They've had little regard for them, their superstar status. They've made them play, and they've harmed their confidence. And say it in Veron, Mascherano, Cambiaso, they're not playing confident football because the United States have been right up their nose the whole game.
Heinze crosses in, high into the air from Conrad. Push out, says Keller.
Can it back off?
Mascherano for Messi. And there's Conrad. Which team needs to make a substitution first?
Argentina, absolutely. Bob Bradley's not going to alter this chemistry. I would imagine for the next 10, 15 minutes, there'll be some tired soldiers out there as it gets longer into this game, because there's so much energy being exerted, not just by the midfield dynamos and the boys at the back, but up front as well. Eddie Johnson and Taylor Twellman being very industrious and moving and giving the options, but they're all doing it.
Clark again tangled up, deflected to the inside. Argentina doing a nice bit of ball juggling, and finally Olsen gets tired of it, pulls his opponent to the ground as Crespo takes a tumble.
That's all right. That's that disregard as we were talking about earlier.
Touched inside by Messi. Dances around Bornstein, gets it to Riquelme, lunging tackle Clark. Messi shot denied. Bornstein stuck with him, and it's out for Olsen. The fuse snipped in the bud.
Great closing down again, not just by Conrad, Demerit covering nicely. Seems to be a real good yin and yang between Demerit and Conrad, Phil. And look at who they're up against, man. Look at this. Again, they're off.
Keep an eye on Twellman. He got a lot of words of wisdom from Mike Sorber, his St. Louis compatriot and former national team star, now U.S. assistant coach. Here's Map bodied off the ball by Zanetti. He's got to do better than that on the offensive side. But defensively, he's been a lion. Rolled away by Mascherano. Off to Cambiaso. Riquelme has not had many clear touches of the ball, but this one over to Crespo. They're going at Wynn. Wynn again beaten, but then recovers and forces Crespo back. A negative ball from Argentina. Veron chipping it, trying to catch the U.S. napping, but offside the call. Second offside of the game against Argentina, no doubt about it.
Yep, again, look at the way they're drawing up. that 5- and 6-man back line, the two wide players coming back to give that sort of support to the United States in that central defensive position. Demerit and Conrad, that wide defensive play by the likes of Mappy and Benny Olsen, and even it's Taylor Twellman coming back a little bit deeper. It's just passing each other on the line, giving a much more comfortable zone to play in, and Argentina have been incapable of finding any way through. I mean, think back to the great chances Argentina's had. They ain't too many, Phil.
No, only, 6 shots on the entire game, and one of them was perhaps a defensive miscue, and that's the one they converted on. 52nd minute. Off to the far side, Heinze. And again, we've seen a lot of this. Argentina looking up, trying to find an opening. Vespo all the way on the sideline. He has a defender on his back. Maybe this U.S. talent pool is a little bit more deeper than many have been giving it credit. And there's a good example. Bornstein 40 yards away from his own goal.
It's a foul. If it was just run around, as we said in the early going, bunker in defense, then I wouldn't have anything but, disregard for the United States. Yeah, they get the result, so what? That's not what this game's been about. It's been about brave in possession. It's been trying to find Eddie Johnson and Taylor Twellman. And again,
Twellman and Olsen.
Close.
Which way will it go?
It's against Argentina.
Free kick for the U.S. just outside the area. Cambiaso flying through, as did Zanetti, and he slams Twellman off the ball.
Good, brave run by Taylor Twellman. Takes it under control, and he's going at the back line of Argentina, and certainly a total free kick there against them.
Mapp moving around at this one, more set up for Feilhaber, just a little bit on the angle. From a goalkeeping perspective, this is one of those ones you hate. You know you really don't want to cheat one way or the other, but you get that comfort zone when the ball's at an angle, knowing, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. When it's right down the middle, could go left or right, and this is going to be a difficult shot for Bonancietti if he can get it over.
It's a fabulous position for the United States. These are the ones they practice all day long after practice. These are the big dress rehearsals, right exactly where this ball is. They'll have seen this 1,000 times with their clubs. Well, it's showtime now. This one will absolutely shake this stadium's foundation if it goes in.
Candia moves the wall back 10 yards. 5 men in, cheating forward. Feilhaber leaves it. Mapp over the bar. He went for the upper corner and missed by a yard.
The dynamics all wrong, though. It's just struck right the way through the ball. He doesn't lift off it with enough of a swerve to get any sort of drop on the ball.
Again, a little strained, but on both of the free kicks the U.S. have had in the danger zone, they've gone off foot. Feilhaber taking it when it looks set up for Mapp, and now Mapp takes it when it looks set up for Feilhaber. Heinze, left-footed ball forward for a silent Riquelme, over for Cambiaso, and this is what Argentina is reduced to. Long ball upfield, no one even challenging Casey Keller. Keller says he wants to be on the World Cup squad in 2010. Dino Zoff actually won a World Cup when he was 40. Casey Keller in a battle with Tim Howard, and this would be a nice little notch on the belt, wouldn't it?
He knows his team's going to be tested deep into this game by the quality of Argentina. The quality will come out as this game goes on. Has the United States got the real fortitude to keep their focus against that sort of quality? That's the question now, because remember, there's a lot of young men out there, Phil, a lot of inexperience. They've done mission impossible so far. Can they hold on to this?
Ball quickly out of the back. Deflection by Cambiaso. Forces it out for Crespo.
Excuse me, Phil. The magic will come out in this Albi Celeste team.
But on to Crespo.
Sooner or later.
You can see a little miscommunication there. Conrad waiting for Keller to tell him what to do, and then finally slams it into touch.
Talk about fully focused Jimmy Conrad, holding all of his horses together like Ben-Hur. Absolutely tremendous.
A late blossomer, 30 years of age, only 22 caps now. But as you pointed out, considering what Bocanegra and Onyewu did and did not do,
for sure,
feel a little bit more comfortable now. In front, deflection just off the boot, and Crespo applauds the effort.
There's that quality, as I was alluding to, that will come out of Argentina. It's in their DNA. Again, it's beautiful ball played in. Keeps himself onside this time, Crespo. Can it extend that right foot to get cleaner contact?
Something U.S. Soccer's media department did some digging, quite impressed about, was combine what Greg Ryan and the U.S. women have done with what Bob Bradley and the U.S. men have done. 35 straight games for U.S. national teams without a loss. Over a year since a U.S. team has tasted defeat, and that was the game against Ghana in the World Cup. But this is a new-look U.S. squad, still built on the Arena foundation, but the tweaks that Bob Bradley has done to the engine, and this is an impressive performance. The fans trying to get on board. A lot of Argentines making the trek up to the north of the continent. They don't like what they've seen. Ball dropped back by Mascherano. Milito in his own end. Nearing the hour mark, and Argentina still tied on 1. Veron back for Mascherano. Good ball out to the flank. Heinze one touch into the middle, but taken away by Feilhaber. Here's Olsen back to Benny. Feilhaber launching it long. Off to the races, and look at Abondancieri off his line. Milito needs to do a little bit better there. Pato thought he needed the help.
Argentina just fragmented all over the park, Phil. They've not been able to knit their team together with any sort of fluency, and here's the first substitution, it seems.
U.S. will get the throw at midfield, and it's Cambiaso coming out. I was wondering if it would be Cambiaso or maybe Mascherano, but
no,
now the question is it going to be, it's Pablito Aimar?
Well, they need a footballer in there that's going to take a little bit more responsibility. Cambiaso has been anonymous throughout this game, and this guy is obviously a wonderful playmaker.
Aimar, 27, out of the River system, now with Zaragoza. Map, knocked off. Milito takes him out just outside the area, and our first card of the game, and another free kick for the U.S.
Deservedly so, the yellow card being brought out on Milito, who has no option because the timing of Mappy's run is beautiful and the touch is exquisite to put him past the big defender, because Justin was rounding it, and Gabby Milito takes a yellow card for the team, and he needed to, man, because Mapp was in.
And again, he's got that silky skill. He's starting to show some of the toughness that he has not shown on the lakeside. Well, Chicago, not Maracaibo. Nearing the hour mark, Crespo keeping an eye on Olsen. Abondancieri leaning back post. It's Feilhaber. Near post. Diving header as the door was shut. Still loose in the area. Demerit tries to force it back. Launched long.
And let's remember, United States haven't had 5 minutes to keep this team together and to rehearse anything on the set pieces. So anybody that's thinking our set pieces should way be better. I mean, Bob Bradley's had literally 2 days with this team. So that'll be the last thing Bob will be working on.
Off to Zanetti. Back for Mascherano, up to Aimar.
And remember, it was a set piece that led to the Argentine goal that really, again, had no time to rehearse it.
Dangerous as Crespo almost found the gap, but stepping forward was Conrad. Would have been nice to see some cover. Here's Bornstein. Bornstein forward for Johnson. Bumps. Brave. Is it time for some fresh legs in the attack for the U.S. yet?
Not for me. Are you kidding me? Eddie Johnson's been tremendous. He's working. He seems to be getting stronger, if anything, Eddie.
Johnson against Ayala. The pitches are soft and lush here in Venezuela, and a lot of those balls that might fly out of bounds are checking.
Good to see Eddie Johnson there as well. Pushing it in on Ayala, not backing off on the great Villarreal, excuse me. But as well, I think Taylor Twellman now is starting to find a little bit more connectivity with Eddie. He's starting to play a little closer to Eddie when the ball's being played forward, and not just to Eddie Johnson. When Taylor's had the ball, Eddie's been getting a little bit closer to him.
Gabi Milito long upfield for Crespo.
Let the better threats.
Crespo drops it back for Veron. Outside of the boot to sweep it in, far side. Brought down by Messi. Messi on the left against Wynn. Messi to the end line. Crosses all the way over. Zanetti brings it down. Map in his face. Drop back for Veron outside the area. Veron Soft pass over Riquelme. Right-footed shot from 25.
Tremendous
blocked away.
concentration by the United States again defending, but now look at them, they're starting to fall back a little bit too deep now.
Messi, pass Johnson, splits the defense. Messi in the 18, shot near post, but he missed the post and hits the side netting. We're still tied at 1.
Desperate defending, this time again by Conrad, I think it is. Comes across, well, it's actually, I think it's Bornstein, or Feilhaber it is, comes across urgently. But wonderful goalkeeping by Keller as well to deny an easy shot for the back post for Messi.
62nd minute.
But that's what will happen if the United States drop too far back. Argentina will just come at you in absolute droves.
I was going to ask, are you surprised it's Aymar and not Tevez, though? Coming out is Benny Olsen. He's done his job. And checking in Eddie Gavin, the reclamation project out of the Columbus Crew. People forget, similar to Benny Olsen, how good Eddie Gavin was. Best 11 in MLS at the age of 18. And in fact, part of the under-17 national team squad, part of the under-20 squad, but he has been in no man's land since Bradley got canned in New York as the Metro Stars head coach. He has not been capped. 05 was his last appearance, but no longer. Hard challenge to Merritt in the midfield.
Perfectly timed by Jay. Wonderful step in. Let's give credit to Benny Olsen there for a wonderful sterling performance. Never lets his colours down, Benny. It wasn't all just industry as well, but it was a massive, massive Trojan performance by Benny Olsen. Again, fully focused and always looking to relieve himself and want the ball.
Aymar, Riquelme, Aymar again runs into the defense. This time it was Gavin. Ball bounces for Demerit.
A dangerous player when he's on, Eddie Gavin.
Similar to Mapp in many ways. Both of them silky smooth, but question what's inside the jersey. You can't say that about Mapp today. Brandon, Mississippi native, coming up the line. Ball deflected away off Bornstein. Well, there's more than casinos in Mississippi. They've started to produce some pretty good soccer players. Bornstein up for Twellman, back for Bornstein. Gets the ball off the deflection. Back for Feilhaber. Calm and composed despite his age. Johnson just seems to hang in the air for Twellman. Side volley deflected away.
A wonderful front man play by Eddie Johnson.
1-1 the score, midway point of the second half.
This portion of the game is brought to you by OleOle.com, where fans kick off.
Gabby Milito pushing it forward. Now it's Verón off to the flank. Vicious bounce for Messi. Messi freezes Gavin. Some fresh legs on that far side. Messi to the inside. Pass off for Riquelme. Riquelme back to Messi. Messi splits it through. Crespo rolls it home. He slows the pace and freezes Keller and puts Argentina in the lead. A beautiful goal from the midfield front, and Crespo back on the scoreboard.
There is the inevitable quality that I was talking about that will come out. And it was a question of when, not if. This is a rabbit hole attack by Argentina. And it's Messi that leads it beautifully. There's multiple possibilities here. Messi plays it in. Kernan Crespo, tremendous ball. Dispatched by Keller, who has basically little chance to do anything. But it was Messi that opened him up with surgical precision.
So now the U.S. had the lead, then were tied, now forced to come from behind if they want to try and come away with at least a point. 2-1, still respectable, but I think these guys think they can still win it.
Riquelme as well was heavily involved. When we see this game and replay again, that quality, you cannot subdue it for 90 minutes. And it was, again, it was a brilliant little goal that opened up the United States. So it wasn't just a little piece of crap that they've fallen to. It was tremendous genius by Riquelme into little Messi. And again, the dispatch from Crespo was fantastic.
Ball spinning away. Feldhaber tries to tie him up. Gavin as well, but Messi forces it free for Veron. Ball behind Lionel. Straight to win. Gavin needs to pick up the pace. Not easy to do off the bench. There's no time to breathe out there. Slow things down, says Crespo. Back for Riquelme, back for Ayala.
When you look at the goal again, people, you'll see how much the United States did to deny. It was Riquelme with absolutely pinpoint precision to dish a tiny little ball off to Messi that was basically indefensible, and yet still the United States were within a whisker of closing the last window of opportunity on Crespo and Messi.
Ball bumped as Twellman does some nice defense. It's out for a throw-in.
These are the things that the United States have come here to learn from. There's no need to hang your head in shame at all because you've been outdone by wonderful play by Messi and Riquelme. You don't come up against that sort of brilliance every day of the week.
And you could say maybe Keller should have done a little bit better, but he's so worried about protecting the near post. That's just clinical finishing from Crespo. Long ball far side. U.S.'s wheels starting to come off a little bit on the offensive side. The gaps are still there against Argentina, but they just can't complete the pass.
Well, again, they fell back on themselves a little bit more in the second half, and we were alluding to it, that that's the last thing you can do against this Argentine side.
16 players on this 22-man roster, less than 8 caps. 3 of them had none coming into today. 14 under 25. This is a young squad that's being built for 2010. But here in 2007, they're giving Argentina all they can handle. This is an important few minutes. They need to slow this giant in the attack. Ball slips through. It's Messi again. There comes Bornstein and Demerit to clean it up. Tackle from behind and a foul called against Lionel.
Fantastic defending by Bornstein here. Absolutely wonderful. Great reach in here on Messi to deny, and Demerit again. There's that I've got your back mentality that has been all over Bob Bradley's boys' team in performance in this second half. When the first guard falls down, Phil, the blue shirts have been in response, getting their back and really putting another lock behind the lock.
Win again. Strong bit of work. Ball deflected far side. Something that we haven't really talked about much, but it is involved in the goal. We saw how Bornstein came all the way across to cover. Remember, Bornstein shutting down Messi so well in the first half, they've been forced to put Lionel Messi off to the left side. That opened the door for the goal, but there a chance for a second, and Bornstein did the job. Twellman comes off after a hard 65, and out comes Hercules Gomez. Well, couldn't need a Herculean effort for the United States, but it's still within their grasp.
Good yeoman performance by Taylor Twellman. He didn't shine or sparkle the way Eddie Johnson has. He certainly played the straight man to Eddie Johnson here tonight. But again, look at the overall effect that the two of them had for big parts of this game, and that's what was impressive.
Feldhaber trying to get tricky. Demerit comes through. Looks like he might have banged it off of Messi, but they're going to give it back to Argentina. Jay Demerit impressive as well.
The sad part about the Taylor Twellman performance for me is that it really didn't come together as a yin and yang with Eddie Johnson in terms of having a real counter-punch to Argentina. But it wasn't bad. It just, I think this was a game where they were looking to see, is this the game where, is this the combination, Taylor and Eddie? Well, it didn't quite work out, but certainly Taylor Twellman did nothing wrong to let his team down, and I believe did a very good, very strong, quiet performance in the shadows of Eddie Johnson here, Twellman.
Through ball from Mascherano. Riquelme drops it back. Back for Roman. Switches field, near side. Crespo soft roll, expecting the run from Aymar. Keeps it alive for Veron. Shot just wide. Keller had the angle.
Poor by Veron. He's got other options, especially on that back post. He lashes it this one. Keller's got it covered all day. Again, Demerit not backing down, getting there and hurrying Veron into his shot.
Keller again.
And again, Phil, let's think of the big players, the big offensive thrust that is out of this United States team.
No Donovan, no Beasley, no Dempsey.
Well, the first two for me are the biggest wheels in this United States team. Without DeMarcus Beasley and especially without Landon Donovan. Imagine these two players in this team, what they would be doing in terms of their incredible pace and wonderful skill, especially Donovan's vision.
Well, just to give you an idea, this is pretty much an improved version of the Argentine squad that was one of the more impressive ones at the World Cup.
Absolutely.
The U.S. side, Ben Olsen, Jimmy Conrad, and Casey Keller.
No,
that's it.
But again, you gotta really give big kudos in a massive way to Bob Bradley for preparing his team and drawing it up beautifully.
Ball deflected on the defense again. Feilhaber looks to be running on fumes a little bit. Back from Wynn to Keller. Need to see a little bit more out of Gomez here up front. He's the fresh legs. Johnson has done his running. Over to Heinze.
Clark doing a great job on Riquelme as well.
Aymar over to Messi. Back for Aymar. Nice touch, Feilhaber. Off to Gavin. Johnson coming across. Argentina does a good job blocking the through pass.
United States possessing the ball very well.
Bornstein. Those dagger passes aren't there that we saw in the early going. Here's Bornstein.
This is good
Gomez.
stuff by the United States again. That's
Outside
great possession. That's at least 10 passes knitted together.
Early
not going
cross.
for the easy way, not going for Route 1 football, trying to beat Argentina at their own game. And maybe they won't beat them, Phil, but I tell you what, they've stood up to them with the pure game. Passing football by the United States a lot of the times.
Win again. Aymar rolls it back over to Milito, over to Heinze. The rhythm starting to get a little bit more towards the Argentine liking.
Sure.
Messi to the middle. Over to Riquelme. Back. Messi. Depleted by Bornstein, and it looks like a yellow card.
Bornstein just a little late on this tackle. I think that's a little harsh on him, actually. If we do see it again. Typical trademark swirling run by Lionel Messi here again. He's just too late.
Cleats did come up a little bit, but that was after.
It's not the cleats coming up, it's just his feet following through, Phil. He's went in for a sliding tackle, gets it a little bit late. Again, learning on the job against the world's best.
Less than 20 minutes remain. It's a 2-1 lead for Argentina. Crespo with both goals. Still looking up at Roque Santa Cruz, who had a gem of a game earlier today. Johnson the goal from the spot 9 minutes in, but the U.S. now trailing. Off the restart, Riquelme, another chip, just hangs in the air, and Keller's out to grab it.
So close again, getting undressed on a set play. Beautiful disguised ball by Riquelme.
Long ball bounces high in the air. This could be dangerous, but Abondanzieri just at the edge of his 18. Bob Bradley could be tasting defeat for the first time in his coaching career of this national team side.
Well, on the scoreline maybe, if it does stay, and it's not over yet. But let me tell you, this is one of the truly great moral victories that the red, white and blues will come away with, and I put all of the World Cups in that bag as well. You've got to take into consideration what they're up against, where they're playing at, and the amount of time that this team in the darker blue shirts have been together.
Gavin.
This is extremely promising for the future, people.
Throw in for the U.S. about 20 yards away from the end line. Hercules comes over, back for Gavin. Gavin lifting it on the bend, but too much on it, and it looks like the adrenaline getting the better of the youngster. Take a look at that set play just over Heinze's head. 15 minutes remain. Again, that just gives you an idea of how much this Argentine team works. It's not just a gift. Vasily realizing how close they were. Marvell Wynn trying to back up.
Well, they came into this tournament, Phil, completely. They've said all week long that if Argentina, if they don't raise that cup over their head in this competition, it will be a failure. And for the United States to face a team that is totally undiluted and completely with all of the jewels, all of the big guns in the team, to play like this has been tremendous for Bob Bradley's boys and for Bob himself.
Rolling it forward. Well, something we haven't really talked about is what does this mean? And we still have plenty of time. Offside number 3 against Argentina, but we are now through one match for every team in every group. And as we take a look, it appears to be just off. The U.S. right now is going to be in 3rd place, but they will take on Paraguay in the next game. And Paraguay may be a little cocky, and you wonder how good they actually are. Obviously, Colombia found out, but if the U.S. can get a draw against Paraguay, and then by that point, remember, Colombia will be playing Argentina in the next round. Colombia might already be out of it. The U.S. could advance, and maybe even as a 2nd-place team. If that's the case, because of Mexico's victory over Brazil, Mexico could win the group. That could be the next game for the U.S. And they know they can play Mexico, at least anywhere but Azteca.
Well, Mexico, let's be honest as well, Mexico looking a much, much improved team since the Gold Cup final in their wonderful win against Brazil. And United States definitely were up for this game. They will have a lot to contend with in the shape of Paraguay, as you said, Phil.
Ball,
but that's what they're here for. They'll take them on. They'll be out there and they will challenge them bravely like this.
Messi back over to the right side, getting some help from Zanetti. Back for Riquelme. It's a game of keep away right now. Argentina would like to score again, but they don't need to. Verón. Switch far side, onside Crespo. Valdenito pushed down the line in the overlap for Heinze. Heinze drops it through. Diving header! Golazo! Pablito Aimar has put a 3rd on the board with a cannon header. Gabi Heinze to the middle and Aimar to the back of the net.
So much cut and thrust about this attack, and it brings Vasily nearly out of his nearly out of his chair. Wonderful, class Argentinian attack. Look at this. Aimar bullies onto the ball, punishes Keller's net. No answer to it. Again, just personification of brilliance and class as a team. Wonderful ball by Heinze.
8th goal of Pablo Aimar's career.
But again, Phil, a goal of the highest order that has undone the United States team. When you go down to goals like that, hey, you know, sometimes you tip your hat up, you hold your hand up. That's not being defeatist, but they have been done by 3 beautifully engineered goals. One from the disguise, wonderful free kick provided by Riquelme. Crespo's 2nd one by the brilliance of Riquelme and Messi again. And then that goal was probably the best of the 3. And look out.
Carlitos Tevez onto the pitch. Single-handedly saving West Ham from relegation. Another sub, the final of the game, Ricardo Clark. And I was going to say it was maybe Clark's man Aimar who had that unmarked run through the box.
But Phil,
that would be hard.
Yeah.
Well, coming on, Kyle Beckerman. That could be interesting, a chance to get some experience.
The type of run it was by Aimar, Phil. The ball has got timing is everything, and the way Heinze's ball invited Aimar to come onto it, there's basically no defending of it. It was just wonderful surgical pass, even to find Heinze down that left side.
Well, it's faith in your teammates.
Of course.
Avancieri guarding the near post. U.S. trails by 2. 10 minutes left to go. 1 man in front. About 30 yards out right side. Poor clearance, or poor set ball in front from Feilhaber, who has not impressed on the set plays, but he's been very good marshaling the forces. Play on, says Chandia.
Bill has had plenty of company on the set pieces. The corner kicks and the free kicks have all been very poor for the U.S.
Demerit comes back against Tevis. They've hooked up. Touched in nicely. Again, Gavin goes to turf. U.S. going away from Justin Mapp. I know Mapp's running on fumes, but his ability to shake and bake has caused Argentina problems. Here's Beckerman. Kyle now with Colorado after getting his start with Miami. Crofton, Maryland, where he calls it home. 99 member of the under-17 squad, only his second cap on the senior side. But he's one of my players to watch in this tournament. This is his chance to shine. Even in Colorado, he's somewhat in the shadow of Pablo Mastroeni, but here Pablo not, and Kyle is.
We said if Bob can get 3 or 4 real good rough-cut diamonds out of this competition, it'll prove worthwhile. Well, let me tell you, I would say there's a good half dozen coming out of this game that have got to be giving Bob Bradley a real good night's sleep here in Venezuela.
But on long ball again, Marvell Wynn.
Absolutely.
Pushing forward. Something we talked about earlier with the
well,
offside trap.
Let's name them. You look at Wynn, absolutely tremendous. Demerit, being basically nearly faultless. Conrad, exemplary.
We knew Bornstein, but we didn't know that good. Ball deflected down. On the offensive side, you haven't mentioned too many, though. Kind of hard to do against a defense the caliber of Argentina. The U.S. got off to the early start with a penalty kick, but could not build on it.
Eddie Johnson's had a lot of distractors, a lot of people that have questioned him. I ain't ever been one of them, I'll tell you that. I've said that this kid on the ball that's just knocked that little sweet ball off is the one that's going to lead this country to South Africa, and I'll stick by it. And I said that, and there was a lot of people that were decrying him, saying, yeah, he's a bit lazy, does it. Well, this is another example of what he is capable of, and look at who he was up against.
Beckerman to the near side. Here's Mapp.
And when he gets better service and better support with DeMarcus back and Donovan back, Eddie's going to be your boy.
Nice work here, but Hercules Gomez seemed frozen. And the ball down into the corner, easily grabbed by Zanetti.
This is that great pass, absolutely brilliant. No chance for the keeper. He's flying onto this ball, and it's heavenly guided.
Mapp again. Argentina giving the U.S. a little bit of breathing room here with 7 minutes left. Zanetti's experience as he cuts it off.
Mappy's got to be absolutely, completely cream-crackered now. Just totally wasted. I mean, he's given everything in that wide position, Justin.
Poor pass in from Heinze. Beckerman. Conrad stepping up. No more subs left for the United States.
Yep, we just got to suck it up now. Again, nice wide play.
Gavin.
Go on, Eddie. Take him on, man.
Lofts it, back post, knocked down by Bornstein. Here's Beckerman. He likes the long shot. Deflected, though, it looked like. No, just caught it wrong and out for the goal kick.
Eddie Gavin, as you said, you're comparing him to Mappy, and you're right, Phil, but when situations like that happen, young boy probably froze right there. Needed to find a little bit more bravery and challenge the Argentine back line, drive to that dead ball line there, Gavin, but just taking the easy one. It wasn't a bad ball in, though.
85th minute. Ball bounces away. Demerit pushing it forward, away from Feilhaber, though, and Argentina gets it again. Starting to string the passes together, and on the break, it's Tevez, rolls it near post, a thing of beauty. Carlos Tevez
keeps himself brilliantly onside, we think, He looks as if he's in an ocean of room here, but it's the timing of the run that is absolutely world-class, and again, strips the United States deep into the game. Wonderful through ball over the top. The seer sees it come and just has seen this player do it all of his life. The ex-Boca Juniors player, wonderful slot home. He's onside, just.
Mentioned the Crespo goal. Keller was so worried about the near post, but this time he left it open.
At worst, he's probably level, Phil. It's extremely close, though, I've got to tell you. Wonderful ball into him. Again, fresh legs, leaving the central defenders of the United States just a little too tired now. This is a flattering scoreline for Argentina.
And they could add another one here. Tevez to the edge of the area. Tevez blasted up for the upper corner and just missed out. 14-4 in shots unofficially. Tevez on the board for the 7th time in his young career.
Disappointed in himself, pushing Jimmy Conrad back. Jimmy's legs got to be very heavy. Tevez going for that top corner, just missing out.
Ball over Johnson. Mascherano gets there. Deflects for Gomez. Gomez to Johnson, who just seems flat out on his feet as well. Gavin with a little shirt tug. And the foul called, or actually no, Justin Mapp getting tangled up with Gago, who came in for Verón. So the third and final sub brings the Real Madrid midfielder onto the pitch for only the 2nd time in his career. Drop ball. Johnson politely gives it back.
Good look at Riquelme looking at Johnson, though. You see that? That's what you call respect. Riquelme looking at this young kid and saying, who the hell are you? Well, he is the future of the United States attack. And if Eddie can keep on building, remember, he's a young boy, he's a young man, he's a Titan warrior, and he's improving day in and day out. The future will only get better for Eddie if he can keep it going.
Ball rolled back and Keller will clear it away. Many people already looking beyond Eddie Johnson to guys like Altidore and even on the bench Charlie Davies. Well, they seem to forget he's still only 23. He was playing as a pro when he was 17 years of age. Just seems like he's been around forever. And there, can't get much tighter than that. Two minutes left in regulation. Through ball. Mapp's not making that run in the 90th minute. A little bit of a shirt tug to slow things down. Play on. Cleared up by Zanetti. Bornstein wins it back. Bellhaber tries the sombrero, but Aymar has seen it. Demerit forward. Nodded wide by Milito. Hanks it to the middle. White foots it up the line. No one there. 4-1, as you said, a deceiving and deceptively complimentary scoreline to Argentina. They were the better team here. You saw it build. But the U.S. could have kept it within one with a break or two going their way. And again, that 5-0 result against Colombia. That gives the U.S. hope in the next couple of rounds. Paraguay is next, and that will determine their fate.
Well, that's it. So it's going to be a great exercise for Bradley and these men. Look out.
Gomez. Gavin. Wide of the target.
But now they have, as you say, Phil, they've got something truly to play for. They started this tournament tremendous. The severest critics cannot do anything else than ignore the scoreline. Forget the damn scoreline. That ain't it. It's the performance of Bradley's men. It's the way they went about. It's the type of football they played. And they will go in against another good side, Paraguay, and live and they learn on the job. And that's what this tournament is all about for the United States. And as you said, Phil, this team certainly look every bit as good as half of the teams that we've seen in this tournament so far.
Into the final minutes we go, 2 to be added on. Something else, high-scoring affair so far. 22 goals through the first 6 matches.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. You're right, Phil. The quantity of the goals has been there, but we've seen some pretty shabby goals. The 4 that have been stuck by the United States, I'll defy anybody to say there wasn't 4 better goals in this whole tournament.
Here's Bornstein again. And there's Zanetti. 91st minute, and he's still on top of his game. And that's something that the U.S. is learning. You learn by watching. The U.S. let their guard down once, and Argentina put the dagger to the throats. See if these guys can do it later when they are in command. Here's Aymar. He was the one that seemed to change this game. When Aymar came in for Cambiaso, things started to flow more Argentina's way. Mascherano near side. Zanetti to the middle. Final seconds, another foul as Feilhaber.
And as you know, Phil, I'm the biggest Argentine fan in the world. I love the way they play football. I love everything about Argentina: skill, verve, class, ability, both defensively, offensively, every shape and form. So I'm not being a big USA cheerleader, because I've had big suspicions about a lot of the United States type of play. This, today, with these young pups, so late coming together against these young men have flown the United States stars and stripes, as proud as any performance in their history.
Lansing header up and off target. No chance for Crespo as Jay DeMerit was all over him. The pride of Green Bay. Still reason to be proud tonight.
Absolutely. Had a good game. Conrad
down.
There's another warrior. Tremendous, Jimmy. Fantastic, son.
Let's see if they even get this corner kick off. Here, the ball in from Riquelme. And the collision happening away from the ball. Get on the post, screams Keller.
Yeah, just hug the post and stand.
Not over, a foul inside the box. Keller will flip it out, and this will probably do it. 93rd minute, the end of the game, and Argentina, with 3 in the second half, pulls away from the U.S. by a 4-1 score.
The class and ability towards the end, as we said, will tell, and it did. It came out. They found their way through.